Hello and good morning, everybody. How are we doing? This is Jeremiah, and we are starting off 2021 with our first webinar of the year. I hope you're ready. We are going to be going over design effects. If it's a new concept to you, it's a pretty simple thing. There's a lot of neat stuff that we've developed over 25-ish years. And you take away the irrigation, you get planting effects. Take away the planting and the other site tools and things, and you're left with design effects. All the cool little basic CAD tools that we've come up with. And so, craft a product out of that, because we just get so many inquiries and so many people who show what they say land effects can do. Showing this architect friend, look at this cool tool that land effects can do, and it's really just this simple little CAD tool. So we formed it into its own little product, and this webinar is gonna show that off and give you a good understanding of it. So I hope you're ready for that. I have a couple super quick housekeeping items. We are recording this, so it's going to go up on the website and it'll be there. If you ever need to, take a phone call or something and you miss something, you'll be able to watch the recording. But also, we really do encourage your feedback here. There is a Q&A button down there at the bottom of your screen. I'd recommend go ahead and click it now so that you get it up on the screen and ready. Be quicker for you to type a question when you do think of one. But just also notice, you're going to be able to see the answers that we type to other people's questions. So it just makes a great little companion for this. But like I said, I mean, even though this is being recorded, we didn't record this ahead of time and just play you the recording. This is live right now. So, we really do want to hear from you. So please give us some feedback, give us some questions as we touch on subjects that you have thoughts on. We really do encourage that and thrive on it. So that's enough of my yimmer yammer. I'm going to get this handed over to Paul, who's going to take it away.
Thank you, Jer. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first webinar of 2021. My name is Paul, and I will be taking you through some of the features of design effects. So first off, we have our outline for the day. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what is design effects. Then I'll just jump into CAD and give you a demonstration of all of these neat little tools. And then we'll wrap it up with some final words and take some questions. So it should be pretty straightforward, easygoing day. So first off, what is design effects? And it is our general drafting and detailing add-on for AutoCAD. As you can see here in the image, it comes with our detail tab in the ribbon, as well as the FXadmin tab, and various other tools within these other AutoCAD ribbons here. And if you're using FXCAD, you know that you need to have a land effects add-on enabled in order to be able to use it. And design effects is an affordable solution for this. And included with design effects are several CAD tools that are improved versions of AutoCAD tools. There are alternatives to these that can be done with Lisp routines, but they come with caveats. First off, you need the full version of AutoCAD. Need to know how to work with these Lisp routines. They're up to you to manage, and you're downloading them from various websites, which can pose a little bit of a security risk. And you don't get support from us. You get support from, if you can even find support from, whoever made those Lisp routines, or you have to make those routines yourself. But with design effects, you get all of these tools in one neat little package, and it's supported by us. So you can always reach out and talk to one of us if you have any issues with them, or if you just want to, say, request a new feature or talk about maybe some development for the future. So we're here for you if you're using design effects. So let's just jump into CAD and show off some of these tools. 1 second here. So here I've jumped into FXCAD and I just have design effects loaded. I even removed the tabs that correspond to the other products that we have. So this is just FXCAD with design effects added onto it. And of course, you have all of your basic drafting tools that come with AutoCAD. But let's first look at pHatch. And basically, we're just going to be starting in the Home tab and making our way to the right and going through some of these tools here. So pHatch is a fun little tool that allows you to paint with hatches. So I have just a sort of a basic concrete hatch pattern here. And if I use pHatch, it asks me to select a hatch, and then it brings up this brush tool here. Now I can press the K key and take a look at the different keyboard commands so that I can then manipulate what I'm working with here. And I know if I press B, I get to choose a different brush style, and I can rotate the brushes and size the brushes. I can choose whether or not to add or subtract. So let's choose a different brush pattern here by pressing B. And I have all these different shapes to choose from. So maybe I just want to start painting onto this hatch. And all I got to do is click on the boundary of this hatch so that it is connected. But once I do that, I can quickly just start clicking and painting around my drawing with a hatch. And if I want to choose a different brush, maybe I want to go square, I can do that. I can increase the size with the W key and minimize with the S key. And I can rotate to get more of a diamond shape here and just move along painting. And this is super useful in like if you're working with details, getting around certain specific areas without having to redraw the entire boundary line and replace the hatch and so forth. So that's one neat little tool there. Moving along, we have a couple of different tools that sort of replace the AutoCAD's native Mokuro command. And that's Xcopy and Xcoro here. And the real benefit to this is if you are working with land effects objects that have that X data embedded in them, you don't want to just copy, say, these plants and this plant label to make a copy, or to copy and then rotate. Instead, you can just use Xcopy, which allows you to select objects like this, press Enter or Spacebar, and then a base point, and you can then copy it over. And it creates an actual copy of that is usable. Pretty useful. Also with Xcoro, it's sort of the same process. You can select these objects, press space, move your objects, and now you get a prompt to rotate. So you can then rotate those after. And that's just, it's a more of a simplified version of Mokuro, which is this command here. And it allows you to basically do the same thing. Press Enter, choose your base point. But now if I want to copy and rotate, I now have to go through all these different selections here. So I guess I would first copy with C. And then from there, I can then choose rotate and then do my rotation. So it's just a few more clicks and maneuvering through the different options for that command. Whereas with the land effects tool, it's just pretty straightforward and gets the job done in fewer clicks. But also the added bonus, if you are using objects with embedded data, it doesn't mess with that at all. So now let's move on to the Insert tab here, where we have one super important tool, and that's the FXREF attach. For that, I'm just going to go into a new drawing, and I'll attach this base here to that. So the FXREF tool is a replacement for attaching using conventional AutoCAD methods. So in AutoCAD, you would open up your XREF manager and then go over to the attach dropdown, choose attach DWG, find your base, click open. And it's not super apparent, like as much as it is, you'll see that my units are not the same. You can see here that, yeah, there's going to be a unit factor here difference. And now I click OK and place it where we placed. But it wasn't super in my face that, you know, the units didn't match up. Whereas if I were to use the FXREF tool here, I can then navigate to that file, click open, and it tells me right away that the units in my XREF are in feet, but my current drawing units are in inches. And good CAD practice is that you have these matching before you attach. So in this box, you can simply change your current drawing units to feet, and that'll update the drawing units here, making it okay. Or you can go back into your XREF and scale it up or down and then change your units there. But at least you know right away that, you know, there is an issue with the units, and this is something that should be brought to your attention. Now, if I open up my units here, it did change my units to feet because I chose that in the FXREF dialog box. And you should be working with decimal feet if you're working in feet. So we'll change that as well. But it's just a very quick, simple way to attach XREFs and a way to circumvent that AutoCAD XREF attachment method there. Let's move on to annotate, where we've got a few neat land effects features here. First up is the text manager. And this is sort of a way to manage your text styles without actually having to go into the text style manager in AutoCAD, which is just, it's a bit more complex than user-friendly, whereas this I find much more user-friendly. And so if you open that up, you see that you already have all these text styles in here. These are all the text styles that we kind of use by default. So you can make edits to your text styles here, and you can place text using those text styles, which are already set up. So if I want to place a text that matches with callouts that are using callout light or whatever, I just know that I need to go to callout light and choose text or mtext and place that. And then I can also make changes to the size if I want. And then here, it also asks if you want to update the callout light definition, which is the text style that's saved into your preferences. So you can make changes to your preferences here as well. And simply click and place your text. And because I chose my plot scale already, it knows how to size that based on point size. In AutoCAD, the method would be to open up your text style manager, and these land effects text styles wouldn't be in here. It would just be standard unless you've set up your own text styles. And so you'd have to add new text styles in and change the font and figure out the height. If you wanted to scale automatically, you'd have to use annotation scaling. And that just adds all these levels of complexities to just placing simple text versus how you would do it in land effects. So using the text manager is a great tool. And now we want to look at FX dimensions here. So we have our own system of dimensioning, which pulls from the dimension style that's saved into your preferences. And so all of that is automated. So if I wanted to just place a site aligned dimension, I can simply click on that tool. I haven't saved any custom dimension styles in my preferences, so it's going to revert to the default. But the default is already set up and ready to use, which is super nice. So straight out of the door, super user-friendly. You can place dimensions as you need. In comparison to the AutoCAD method, which is kind of like with textiles, you just have your standard here. So if that was set to current and I were to just place a dimension, the AutoCAD method, it comes in and it's not respecting the plot scale that we set to it. So it's, again, it's up to you to kind of manage how that is scaled, what kind of text goes into it, what the styling is. And so it's just a lot more setup with the AutoCAD method. Whereas straight out of the box, you can set your plot scale and start dropping in dimensions just like that. And of course, we have tools for all of the different dimension types here. So straight linear, we've got, arc dimensions, radius, diameter, and so forth. And with the addition of compatibility with the continue dimension and baseline dimension. So with continue, it just continues off of that last dimension that I placed. So I can continue dimensioning out objects, or baseline dimension, which gives you this sort of thing here. And again, totally just going around the AutoCAD method. Basically what's happening in the background is all of that scaling and assigning of the text style and all that is all just being automated so that you don't have to manage it unless you're customizing it. But the point is you don't have to right out of the box. And let's look at some things in the View tab here. So let's take a look at setting up a UCS. So if I wanted to rotate this plan, or at least rotate the view of it to work, to ease my work, maybe north is facing off into the upper left corner where I need it to be straight up and down. You need to apply some kind of rotation to it, or at least rotate the view so that you can work on it. And with AutoCAD, you would need to set up a UCS in which you basically replace the user coordinate system here. So you can click where that origin point is and then, rotate what is X and Y. So maybe Y, or what would be north, is in that direction. But then now my crosshairs are respecting the UCS, but the drawing is still where it was before. So then maybe I'd go to plan and then I would set to the current UCS and do that. And it's just a few more steps than using the Land Effects UCS tool. So if I go back, I can then just go to new UCS with FX new UCS here, click on that, specify the new origin point. So again, I'm choosing where that origin point is, or I can keep it at the location that it already is. And then I need to specify the X direction. And I think this line here is where I want it to go. And then which way is the positive value for Y. So if I wanted to flip it upside down, I would go this way, but I want to go up this way and just click. And then I get to save my UCS here so that it's tracked, so that I can then revert to world again or whatever, or have different UCSs and kind of go between them. And just like that, it rotated the drawing, it rotated the UCS, and also made sure my crosshairs lined up. So it was just a very quick method to set up that UCS, which stands for User Coordinate System, if I didn't say that already. In quite a few less steps than you would in regular AutoCAD. And then if I wanted to restore, I can just go back to that restore button and click on world, and it goes back to the way it was before. And it's saved in there. So if I want to revert back to my own, you can easily just go between those. So nice and quick and streamlined. And that's kind of the theme for a lot of these tools, is it's just taking what's kind of already there and available for AutoCAD, but just really cutting down on what you have to do to achieve the outcome. Moving on to manage, we have a few super useful tools here that maybe if you're kind of new to CAD, you might not be aware of, but we have various cleaning tools in here. And if you've ever dealt with drawing corruption before, it can be a real pain. So what we recommend is every time you get a file from a consultant or any outside files, that you clean them up so that when you're working, nothing bad happens down the road. And so we kind of have a one set and done tool that cleans up a drawing that you might get from a consultant, and that's the FX Nuke tool. So if I click on that, or if I type in Nuke, usually it comes up with a cleaning box. I wonder why it's not right now. There we go. And it lets you know what it's going to be doing when you run that tool. And first off, it's going to create a copy of the file so that if the nuke goes too far, it doesn't destroy anything that isn't already backed up. So basically it's a backup copy, and it labels it as quarantine. Then it goes through and audits the drawing, and it purges all the items out, like reg apps and proxy objects. It sets all of your layer or all of your objects in the drawing to by layer, which is proper CAD standards. And then it basically exports those items out into a clean file. So this is just a very quick way to clean a file for use later on, and you can rest assured that there's no proxy objects or anything in there that's going to cause drawing issues later on. If you don't want to use the Nuke tool, or maybe you used it and it maybe was a little too invasive, there is manual cleaning steps. So if you click this button here, what it does is it pulls open our web page with instructions on how to achieve cleaning your drawings without running the Nuke tool. And so clicking that button pulls open these instructions. And essentially what you want to do is just go through the rest of these buttons pretty much. You don't have to use overkill. That just basically erases lines that are duplicated on top of each other. But there is, you want to turn all your layers on. You want to have everything by layer. You want to delete reg apps. Del reg apps is another FX tool. Usually in AutoCAD, if you want to get rid of registered applications, you need to purge them out, which is not super obvious unless you already know about it. And if you need to delete reg apps from multiple files, there is an AutoCAD utility for that, but it is a separate application altogether. But this is just a tool provided by LandFX to quickly delete registered applications from your file that is open. And then continuing on, it performs an audit, or you want to perform an audit to clean your drawing. Instant Purge is basically like running the Purge command here. And so you would run purge all, or you would choose what to purge. But to properly purge out objects from a drawing, you need to run purge like 2 or 3 times, which is kind of strange. But the instant purge is a LandFX. I usually call it super purge, but basically you run that, and instead of that dialog box coming up and you having to repeat the purge, it basically just runs a complete purge, so you don't have to do it multiple times. So a very quick way to purge out unwanted objects. And then clean export is AEC to ACAD. It basically write blocks out all of the line work and objects in your drawing that you want to keep while abandoning, what your proxy objects and whatnot that you don't want to have in your drawing in this file. So those are your manual cleaning steps. In addition, we have reload all line types, which basically updates all the line work in your drawing to correct any kind of scaling issues you have with line types there. So super useful cleanup and management tools here. And then let's move on to FXadmin. Oh, I missed one in output real quick. And this is located in other places as well, but the export to line effect support is super handy if you have an issue and you want to send a drawing into us so that we can diagnose what that issue is. Could be issue with blocks or just something isn't responding the way that you think it should be. It's a great way to send us the drawing file so that we can take a look at it, and it really helps us in tech support being able to open up your file and see what the issue is and replicating it on our side so that we could then find a quick solution for you. And so clicking that button opens up basically a ticket page here where you can then write in your notes of what the issue is. And then it also wraps up your drawing files into a zip file on your desktop. So you would attach that to that message and send that over to us so that we can take a look at it and provide a solution for you. And that's also located in, I believe, in each of your ribbons here under the help dropdown. The support button does the same thing. So moving on to FXadmin. Of course, we have our project list where you create and restore and back up, your projects. You've got your project manager. All those are more in-depthly covered in webinars for planting or sites or any other sort of webinar that we do on the different modules here. But I wanted to direct your attention to Batchman. Batchman is a batch file processing tool that can help you maintain drawing standards across your entire library. And basically what it does, you got to have one file open at a time. But it opens up this dialog box and you can add either specific files or an entire folder of DWG files. And so let's do that real quick. So I have a bunch of DWGs in this folder here. And basically, maybe I want to adjust all of the layer names. This is something that I've been doing as I'm going through and auditing a lot of our older detail files. That we have hundreds and hundreds of them, and we have more up-to-date layer naming standards now, and some of them very old. So there's this sort of mess of different layers and layer names and stuff. So one way that I've been using this is to change all layer names and colors. And then I'll click OK, and it'll go through and find what all the different layers are in those files and give me a list. And then in that list, I can simply change what that layer should turn into. And then when I run it, it runs through each file and updates all of those layer names for me. And it can do that for different actions as well. You can choose to change layer colors. So if you know that your office doesn't use color 1 for anything, but you want it all, basically every color 1, which is like a red color, you want to change to color 12, you can edit that here. Let's say it's color 21 you want to turn it to. Click OK. Save. Okay. And then when you run it, it'll go through and update all those layer colors for you. So super useful in updating items in several files at once. You can also run Purge plus, which is like a cleaning step. You can set everything by layer. If you have files that are maybe saved in 2018, but you maybe have a user or someone you know wants to open it and they have AutoCAD 2015, you can also choose to save them down to a older version of CAD so that they can be more accessible. So super handy tool when needing to make changes to a lot of files at once. We did already look at new UCS and restore UCS, and here's that Nuke tool again. And then we also have load and save layers. These are what we call layer states, which is super handy when setting up, say, layer standards. So right now in my new drawing, I have it set to open up all of these different layers that I've already set up. And these are all detail layers because I've been kind of working in details a lot. And so I always have those load in. But if I had just set these up and I wanted to save them and not necessarily save them into like my drawing template, but to make them accessible by all other users, I can set all these up and then choose the Save Layers button here. And it brings me to my layer states folder, which is located in my land effects folder. And then I can choose to save them wherever they would fit here. So since these are details, I would probably save them in here and give it a name. So that if I were to remove all these layers, so now I have 0 layers in here, I can click on Load Layers and go to where I just saved that layer state and click OK. And it's going to bring in all those layers with all their different settings, just like that. In addition to saving your own layers, we also have several other sort of templates for layer states here. So if you're working in some kind of plan, concept plan, irrigation, topo, we have layers already set up for that if you want to be using those. Moving down the list, we have convert layer colors, which, as it says, and I should have mentioned this already, but if you float your mouse over any of our tools in the ribbon and just let it hang there for a little bit, it'll give you a nice description of what that tool does so that you can read about how to use whatever it is that you're curious about. So quickly apply your color standards to each layer in a single drawing. So if I wanted to do that, and this looks just like that box that I had in the Batchman dialog box here. So if I wanted all of, let's see what we have, all of, let's say color 11 to be a different color across all my layers, I can go to color 11, edit it, and maybe I want it to be color 72, click OK. And just like that, it went through and changed all of those color 11s to that 72. So now we have some different layer, additional layer tools here that I want to go through. Let's attach an FXREF real quick to show off the first couple of these. So the first one on the list is X layer. And if I float my mouse over it, it lets me know that I can edit layers in an FXREF. So I've already FXREF'd this file in, And in this drawing, I just want to change some of the colors for whatever reason. You don't have to go into the XREF itself and make those changes and affect the source file. And you don't have to go into find whatever layer that is on the XREF and figure that out. Instead, I can just go to X layer and click on whatever it is in the XREF, and it's going to pull open this little box here letting me know what the object is, what layer it's on, what color it is, and what kind of line type it is. So if I wanted to change just that one layer in the XREF to a different color, I can do so. I can also change the line type. So now I have very quickly edited a layer in my XREF. And then the layer color is basically just like what I did, but a little simpler. I can click on a layer in an XREF and change the color very quickly. I can also do it for a layer that's not in the XREF. So if I just want to change whatever layer that is to a different color, I can very quickly do so. And it just cuts down on time trying to figure out, first you got to click on it, whatever the object is, find out what layer it's on, and then go into your layer properties manager and track it down and then change the color there. Instead, if you have it in front of you, you can just use that layer color tool and click on it and make the change. Now let's check out Superlay ISO, which is what it does here. It hides all the layers outside the selected layer. So if I wanted to isolate, say, just the layer that these trees are on and get rid of everything else, or not get rid of, but hide everything else, I can do so very quickly with Superlay ISO. All you do is click on the tool and click on the object that lays on the layer that you're trying to isolate. You can select multiple items, so you don't just have to isolate one layer, but I just want to do the trees, press enter, and it hides all of the objects that, except for the XREF, of course, that are on that layer. And then Superlay Freeze is sort of like the reverse version of Superlay ISO, where it allows me to freeze anything on a layer that I choose. So let's go back, and maybe I just want to freeze the tree layer. Click on that, click on the trees, and like that, it's gone. And there was, oh yeah, so now if I want to go back and bring everything back, I can go to thaw all or all on, just to make sure that all my layers are on and displayed. Let's move on to some general tools here. This is in the FX admin tab. We already looked at p-hatch, where you can paint hatches. We also have polydivide, which is pretty neat and still a somewhat newer tool. But let's say I have a closed polyline here. And as long as you have a closed polyline, you should be able to use this tool. And basically what it does is it allows you to separate a boundary line or a closed polyline or an area into equal parts. So I want to divide this polyline up. I just click on the tool, click on the polyline, and I have a few different options on how to split this up. So maybe I just want to split it into 3 parts. Lets me know right away that if I do that, it's going to split up the area divided by 3 is 556 square feet per area. So I can do that. And then it wants me to select an XR angle. So basically the angle in which it is divided. So maybe I want this line to be that. And so then it go ahead and divides up that area into 3 equal parts. And these are 3 separate little areas that it's created. Next up, I want to show Chop. Chop is a fun tool. Let's set up a circle real quick. And I just want to put a hatch in here. And explode that hatch. So I just wanted some diagonal lines in here. And what Chop is, it's kind of like an evolved trim tool. And so it automates trimming using a fence selection. So you can get very kind of narrow and precise trims. But this is what it looks like. I choose my chopping line. So I want to do like maybe like that. And now all I do is I draw my fence. And so every line that I cross, that is then will then be cut by this cutting line here, the chop line that I first drew. So maybe I just want to cut out every other line for about half of this shape. Press enter when done, and I've gone through and I've taken those out. I can continue this on the other side. Let's see, enter. And maybe I want to do some cutting on this side as well, leaving some of those lines in. And this just kind of leaves you with a neat design here, but it makes that trimming along that line pretty fun and easy to do. And then next up, we have super join. Let's see if I can open up this file real quick. So super join is, like it says, a tool for joining objects, or specifically polylines. Here I have all these different grading lines, contour lines. But if I were to get a file that was very messy with line work, let's say all of these came in and they're exploded. So now they're all individual little line segments. And they just make a huge amount of different points and lines in this drawing. And I just wanted to do a general cleanup. This is great for if you're getting like details from someone who set them up. Maybe they were exported from some sort of 3D program, and all the lines came in and they weren't automatically joined. Super join can make that process very easy and quick. So if I go to super join, all I got to do is select an object on that layer. And now all of those exploded objects have been joined on that layer. So like it says, it's a super join tool. And then it also allows you to, if you were to have a line, maybe that wasn't quite closed, you can use super join and click on that line. And it should close it for you. Window. You got a window over it. So there we go. So if you have a bunch of line work that maybe it's exploded, and then maybe you do the join on it and they still don't close up because the endpoints are not quite closed off or touching, using super join and windowing across those polylines, it'll draw the shortest segment to the two connecting points. So it'll close it up for you. Okay, so super join, FXplode, it's for concept graphics. Reload all textiles. So if you've placed a bunch of text in your drawing and you've made changes in your preferences to that textile, and for whatever reason, it didn't update in your drawing, and you can see that clicking on reload all textiles or typing in the command reat, R-E-A-T, will update all of the text in your drawing to match what is in your preferences. And I suppose for the last couple of these, we'll move on to details real quick, just to show a couple of items in here that aren't necessarily specifically for details. So we have our sort of generic graphics options here available, whether it's elevation graphics or plan graphics or discipline graphics. And we also have detail builder blocks. But let's put in a block here from our detail library. Any of these should do. So I put a car in and say I made changes to this block, or at least the source block. So right now, this block came from a file that's on my computer in my Windows Explorer, but then once I place it in the drawing, as AutoCAD is, it defines it in this drawing. So now what is looking to define this image is what's defined in this file. It's not looking at the source where it came from anymore. So if I went to that source file, which I think was this one, turn off the grid, and I made changes to the source file. Maybe I didn't like that windshield and I wanted to put a little face in here. Little happy face. And then I save that source file. It's not going to update in this drawing because, again, it's defined in this drawing file. But if I wanted to update it with the source file, the tool for that is Redefine Block. You can also just type in Redefine Block, click on that, and then click on the block that you want to update, and it'll update that information from the source file. Remove X data. This applies to if you're using LandFX objects or any sort of blocks that have that LandFX data behind it. If you need to remove, say, planting data from trees, you can click on that and then click on the tree and it'll remove that data. So then it just becomes a normal AutoCAD block. And then we have the drive tool, which applies to any plan view vehicle. So if I click on this, I can now use my keyboard commands to drive the car around my model space, like so. And this is just a fun little way of introducing sort of the location that your left hand should be in when you're using our keyboard commands. So if I press K, you can see that I have all these different little commands for it. And basically it's like if you were to play like a computer game, you have your middle finger on the W key and your left hand kind of just over here within reach of the different keys. And so a little fun way that you can kind of learn to have your left hand over here ready to execute those keyboard commands. That's drive here in general tools. And of course we have our cleanup tools again, because those are administrative tools. a lot of these tools in the FX admin tab are kind of like maybe the first tools you'll use when starting a project. Import CSV allows you to import CSV files, so you can bring in like survey points or whatnot and have them translate in CAD. And then you have your general preferences, which open up your preferences for all your different modules here. Of course, I'm in a command. So even if if you have a design effects license, but then your coworkers have planting or irrigation effects, you can still go in and make changes to the preference set. Though I don't know if that's a good idea, but you can do it. And then we've gone into details. And the reason I'm not covering details, if you are not aware of this already, but we have a lot of content on details already. And we just wanted to show kind of those other tools and features that come with design effects besides the robust detailing system. So I already showed this, but the hatch, you can use the detail hatch button, and that brings up all of our different land effects hatch patterns. And a benefit to these is that they respect the plot scale that you set to the drawing. And so they're automatically scaled and placed on a layer that they are meant to fall on. So it's all kind of managed behind the scenes, and so that you don't have to manage those. And we've done p-hatch. We have our different elevation and plan graphics. And of course, if you're looking for that plot scale button, that's in the FX admin tab. Basically just allows you to set up the scale that you want everything to adhere to, like annotations and those hatches and whatnot for print. So using a plot scale allows the system to automatically set all the scaling up for you, so you don't have to. So with design effects, you get all of these neat little tools from general drafting to just basically streamlining some AutoCAD tools that are already there, and they all come in this one neat little package. But also, with design effects, you get active and responsive support from us, and that includes a doorway of communication allowing you to request new tools and features. So really, really great aspect of this whole thing is that support feature. So with that, if there's any questions or anything you'd like me to show further, we have a few minutes here that I can do that.
Oh, we had so many good questions. Really, really appreciate everybody chiming in on things. And I think I was able to basically address those for the most part. For instance, a lot of people kind of clarifying primarily on FXREF, just reiterating that FXREF does place the XREF automatically at world coordinate, regardless of what user coordinate you're in, with no options on that whatsoever. That was a very early decision in creating that tool. Is we kind of felt that the whole concept of XREFs is a very strict concept, and the base and why AutoCAD lets you place an XREF somewhere other than 00, we felt was just incorrect. So that was a very early decision with creating that tool. So we just see a lot of files from people, and as you can imagine, on the tech support side, and we'll see an XREF that is placed 4 miles away or something, and they're wondering why something's not working, and we're like, oh, and so that was what led us to create FXREF. A lot of these tools are created from just things we see on the tech support side, and we go, gosh, well, this would really help, and so we just make a little tool to put in there. And so these come either directly from user suggestions, or of course, just looking at your plans when you send in a tech support ticket. We go, this gal really needs this tool, sort of a thing, and we create them. So keep the ideas coming, please, 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 and we'll just keep creating neat things like this. So anyway, other than that, I'm just going to wish everybody a safe and happy weekend.
All right, that wraps it up. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, have a good weekend.